Hello and welcome to Edinburgh Business Stories. EBS is hosted by myself, Alex Richards of Umore, a video production studio based in Edinburgh and Bristol, and Alan Smith of Action Coach, providing business coaching throughout Edinburgh and the Lothians. If you aren't already, remember to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy this upcoming episode of Edinburgh Business Stories. Nish.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So give our listeners a little bit of context who you are and what your business does.
So Nishant Sharma, born and bred in India. I've lived there for 12 years. Migrated to Scotland 2007. I've lived here almost 20 years of my life now. I came and started my life as a dishwasher. I was lucky I had a family who took me in. My uncle lived in Glasgow. So I lived 4 years of my life in Glasgow. But yeah, 12 years in India, rest in Scotland. So I've lived in Scotland more time than I've lived in the country of my birth.
Great. And what's your business?
So I run a small alcohol beverage company. The company is called Rutland Square Spirits Limited. It started in 2017, and we make spirits. We make really good spirits.
Great.
And you say small, but actually it's not. You're being a bit humble there.
We are a growing company. When I started this company back in 2017, which was purely out of passion and compulsion. It started with my savings, my 5 savings. Literally lived off our income for a very long time, it was a small company, still is a small company. It's because I've not quite I'm not there yet with what the vision is. Mm-hmm. But yes, valuation wise, we are a sizable company. Rutland Square Spirit sits at a 30 million valuation now today. We are 25 FTE strong. Mm-hmm. We will be 50 FTE by Q1 next year. Mm-hmm. We are forming a group of companies. As a group, we set at 100 million valuation between the two companies. We're slowly going into a different direction, which I'll talk about. Mm-hmm. And we are now a medium-sized company.
Yeah, a 30 million valuation is it's not that small, is it? I guess it is in the drinks world.
Yes, in the drinks world, it's not big.
Yeah.
Companies like Diageo's, they have $1 billion valuations. So we are tiny.
Nish, let's go back to the beginning. Tell us, we can go back to India. Where do you want to start?
Okay, let's start from India. Born and bred in a small town called Edinburgh, which is the tea capital of India, which is in a region called Assam, which is in the far northeast, which borders the Bhutan, the Meghalaya, and the China border. And my family, though, comes from the extreme west, the northwest, which is Punjab. The most restaurants in Edinburgh, the Indian restaurants, are run by Punjabis. Most of the Royal Mile whisky shops are run by Punjabis. This is the region where the Sikhs come from. The proud Sikhs of Scotland are well known by the world apart. So, so my great grandfather was the cause of us landing in Assam. So I'll start from there. So he, Tej Ram Baba, humble man from northwest Punjab region, in a small town called Amritsar, where the Golden Temple is. There is a very small village where he was born, and he grew up in a farmer family. They had flour mills. They were landlords. Comfortable life. The guy had an itchy foot, so he decides to leave everything behind, the comforts of life, and for some reason which we don't know, travel all the way to the far extreme east, which is the Assam. And he takes bullock carts, trains, steam trains, foot, and hitchhiked, and he got to this place. Imagine just uprooting yourself and leaving your kid and your wife and everybody behind.
So he didn't take them with him?
No, because I think
that sounds good.
left them behind.
Oh, wow.
But the idea was to get somewhere, do his R&D, and then figure out where he was going first. And I don't think he knew where he was going. It's like, wherever this train gets to, get there. And he lands up in this small town called Edinburgh, which is actually the last station. from the last station on the west. If you take the train on the further west, it goes to Pakistan, and then this side, if you take the train, it gets you to China. So he lands in this place just because he could speak a little English, and he thought back in the day, this is British India, and he wanted to do something with the regime, and he said, I could speak English and I can be worth more than what I am. Instead of working in my father's business, I'll do something more exciting. And here he is in Assam, not knowing the place, not knowing the people, lands in and then finds himself a job in an Englishman's tea estate as a translator and as a manager for the tea estate. So he's managing the labor who couldn't speak the English, and the regime, the lord who he's employed under, and his journey starts.
Wow. So that's your grandfather?
Great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather. So how did your family end up in the UK?
So again, there's a very interesting part to this, and I'll add on. So my great-grandfather, while working in the tea estate, meets a Scotsman, and they both have a common love of making moonshine. They come together for the love of making alcohol. Now, they are doing random stuff back in the day with no licensing, no law, but only differentiator they had was single malt whiskey was really popular, but it was only allowed within the regime. And if you were working for the British Army or you were part of the whole group as an officer or somebody of a stature, or you were friends of an officer that you can sneak a bottle in. So common man had no access to single malt whiskey. So these bunch, they became friends, they were moonshining, they were doing random stuff, and they decided, why don't we play around? So the Scotsman would buy a single malt whiskey under his quota, which he was allowed as an officer, and he will sneak it to my great-grandfather's backyard. They will blend it, mix it, they did something to it, and then they sold it unlabeled, illegally to the common man as Indian blended Scotch. Because there was a Scotsman involved, that created the legitimacy, and there was an Indian man from Punjab who could mix and blend to the best of his knowledge without any equipments. And I'm glad they didn't, people survived, whoever consumed it. So they did an okay job.
And so that was then their journey into whiskey, and
Yes.
then how was the link into the UK?
So because the Scotsman was there, so he knew there's a place called Scotland. They would talk about. They were both migrants to this region. The Scotsman left Scotland and he was part of the British Army, and my great grandfather left Punjab and he was there. But both isolated in a world they didn't know, and they became friends, and they had a common thing called alcohol. So what we have heard from my grandfather, who has lived this journey, because he was very young, and when the family came over to the Northeast to live with him, they were quite far ahead in the journey. Great-grandfather did make some money selling illegal whiskey. So did the Scotsman. So they always talked about Scotland. And Scotland has always been part of discussion in the family. And then many years later, when my uncle came to Scotland, my maternal uncle came to Scotland, he got married to us, to an Indian heritage, but Scottish woman, English woman rather. She was born in England, but they were living in Glasgow. So that was the road to Scotland. And when I was of the age to do something fruitful with my life, Scotland kept circling my life for some reason. And again, I had an itchy foot and I had to do something different. So I had to walk down the same road my great-grandfather did.
And so you came to Scotland in 2007?
Yes.
And at that point, you're how old?
I was 18.
18, right, okay.
So I completed my 18th birthday in Scotland. Yeah, so I was a teenager.
Right.
And
So what did you do at that point then? You came to Scotland and you lived in Glasgow, you say?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes, I lived in Glasgow. My father wasn't happy with the decision I took. I was the only son. I am the only son. And I have a little sister. When I made the decision of, my mom was very passionate about, because her brother lived here and she really wanted me to do something more and explore. That's how she is. And I decided to come to Scotland. Luckily, I had family. My uncle took me in, as I said. And I landed. My dad said, only money I can give you is £500. And there's no more money at spare this is your adventure. You need to fund your own adventure. So I was very hurt by that piece, because he could lend me little more money, which I would have definitely helped. But my father is a bit of an eco-hungry person. If it hurts, it hurts. So it did me. And I came back and I said, I'm going to double the money he gave me. I'm going to send it back. So I was desperate to find something, It was all fueled by this nonsense ego I had. Because I wanted to be, self-made, something individual. But then life hits you hard, and then you realize, ouch, it's not easy. So I started with deloading containers for my uncle. He would pay me £20 for deloading these containers for 4 or 5 hours. So imagine a 40-feet container lands, and an 18-year-old lifting boxes, taking them down with the rest of the people working there. So that was quick money. I made £20 in 4 hours, and then in the evening I would go out to this restaurant he got me into through his connections, where I became a dishwasher. And I started dishwashing, cleaning the tiles. They abused me. They saw this young boy, let him start with cleaning the tiles, and literally A7 bottle and a cloth, and I would just rub the gunk off the tiles. It was just horrible. and they would pay you less than minimum wage, and I didn't understand what cash in hand and off the books was. I was just literally off the boat. And I just went in and they said, I thought it was good money, £2.50 an hour or something like that. Even back in 2007 was good money for me, because I never saw money before that. My own money. So I thought, good money, but later I realized, no, it wasn't.
All right.
This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Southside Property Management. Are you managing property in Edinburgh? Then you'll want a team that treats your investment like it's their own. At Southside, they don't just manage, they maximize. From expert lettings and full management to project management that transforms layouts, they help landlords increase rental income and boost long-term return on investment. With transparent fees, responsive service, and a reputation built on trust, Southside are the go-to team for landlords across Edinburgh. Southside Property Management. Property made simple and profitable. Find out more at southsidemanagement.com. Now, back to the episode. So you're doing what you can.
Yes.
I assume you send the £1,000 back and say, there you go.
Uncle did help me a little to top up the last 50 or £100, because I scraped up to 400 something doing these 2 odd jobs. And then he said, I'll give you £100, don't worry. Well done, you.
I quite like how we're talking about these kind of £2.50s and £50, what have you, because I dare say throughout the story as it unfolds, the numbers get a bit bigger, right?
It does.
Yeah. So you're washing dishes. What's kind of your first step into a proper job, I guess?
So I did that for a good 4 years. It wasn't an easy life. I was studying. I was an international student. I had to pay the international students' fees, which was, even back then, was 10-15 grand, which wasn't sustainable. And I said, I've made the decision to come here. It's all on my shoulders. My dad did the best he could. Thanks to him, I'm here. And now I'm washing dishes. That's not the sustainable way forward. I think I was, after 6 months or so, I really got to a point I was frustrated by the job. And I had an argument with my manager on the floor. And I had a go at him in English. And he said, you can speak English? I said, of course I can speak English. What do you mean I can speak English? He said, I thought you're a dishwasher because you can't speak English. And okay, I can speak English. He said, I'll drag you out on the floor. So I got promoted to front of the house. Right. Now picking plates and mopping floors are far better than, driving back home smelling of horrible food left behind by people. Almost smelled of curry every day. Right? Imagine leftover curry smell. How the fridge smells in the morning. Excuse me. So yeah. And then I became the manager not the manager, the staff on the floor. I was really racking up very good tips because I would speak to people and always had a story to tell. I didn't think much of the story because it was only story up till where family has been, until it became my story. And people would really get engaged while eating their dinner, and I would really rack up tips. And it's like, this guy is dangerous. He's racking up more tips than the salary we give him. So they made me, I got promoted again. So I kept on on getting promotions to a point where there was no promotions to be given out. And this is the point where I met my now partner, then girlfriend. We started as friends in the family. She helped me get my visa issues over the line. She was a bar graduate working in financial services, educated woman from a very decent family. And here I am, a dishwasher or a table wiper, front of the house team member. I love that job. I made great friends. I'm like nothing against that. It's just the pay was horrible.
What do you think was the magic that you had that gave you those,
I think I was good at connecting with people, which I feel is the only superpower I have. I have ADHD. As part of my ADHD, I do not process things. I just go with the flow, and my wife finds it dangerous at times because I spit things that I shouldn't, or I don't process things as I should, like a normal person, think and speak. So I use this formula. Before I speak now, I process it for 3 seconds. I'll look at you and I'll say, let me analyze it before I spit. But pre this formula, I would just spit however I felt, which wasn't good at times. So this was the superpower, I would say. I don't see this as a hindrance because it helps me connect to people.
Amazing. So, you're the manager, you meet your wife. How do you end up going from washing dishes into thinking like, maybe I should be an entrepreneur and build a business?
So entrepreneurship has always been brewing from day one. I didn't know how, what life teaches you. Same happened to me. My wife played a very important part in this whole. She dragged me out of the restaurant because she saw me being miserable, talking to her about my wages because I couldn't even afford lunches or dinners with her after paying my fees and paying my bus pass and the usual phone contracts. I was still dead broke. And sometimes in negative equity on my credit cards, their birthdays and everybody's buying good gifts. And if I would go out and buy a gift for someone, I would not have the money for 2 months. I would just be paying off my credit card. So I asked her, I said, you work in financial services. What do I need to do to be where you are? She said, oh, you need to be qualified and this and that. And I said, okay, I get it what you say, but I'm sure everything can be taught. Even education is something you learn. And I always had this hook, whatever the individual is doing who's in front of me, who's in a better position, must know something that I don't, that puts them in that position. That has always been the case. I was curious. And this is how I went out from dishwasher to front of the house to scaling up in that setting. And I said, get me an office job if you can. Guide me how to get an office job. And she said, you need to make a CV. I never knew we had CVs because I just ended up in a dishwasher and, no CV required. Walked in and boom, I have a job with a apron on. So she helped me create a CV. This is the first time I learned there are things called CV. And then she lined up some interviews. I never knew there were job sites where you can look for jobs. I thought you just walk in and people give you a job after speaking to you. That opened up a whole realm of things which I never knew. So she got me into Sheila's Wheels in Glasgow. There was an insurance company. Imagine me selling Sheila's Wheels to people. Thank you for calling Sheila's Wheels. We have an offer on for you. Legal protection cover for you. But I was again racking up good commission there. I would somehow end up selling the add-ons, which paid you top dollar. So sold insurance for 6 months, and I had an argument with the manager there too. And I was like, I need to learn what this guy does, and I'm going to find a job. And then I learned about him on the job sites. What does a manager in a call center does? And then I would use Google to learn about his skills, and then I would consistently go for interviews, and I'll giving 20, 30 interviews. That upskilled a lot. That helped me learn the trade, and this is how I scaled up. And then I ended up in financial services, from back office to middle office to front office. So went from Lloyds to Scottish Widows Investment Partnership to BlackRock to every single financial firm, because at this point I left Glasgow after Sheila's Wheels, and she dragged me into Edinburgh because it was not sustainable for us to date. She had to drive from Glasgow to meet me from Edinburgh to Glasgow. and I was finding it very difficult. So she said, just come to Edinburgh, it'll be easier. So she found me a studio flat near her office. She got it all sorted, and then I moved in and I had to find a job. Now I'm in Edinburgh with no job. So somehow after giving 100 interviews, I landed up with my first back office job, and then I stayed there for a good 6-7 years until the entrepreneurship started.
And what was the trigger moment then from that into starting your business?
So it's actually my grandmother's passing was a huge part of me being an entrepreneur today. I always wanted more because I had huge aspirations. Till date, I have huge aspirations. Back then, out of my ignorance, I would look at things we were way above my pay grade, and I would somehow find a way to manifest it to get there, either jumping on a day rate contract or doing something. So I did end up earning a lot of money in financial services, which gave me a stepping stone. And of course, my wife was quite comfortable. She has been in financial services for the longest of times. We built up a base. She bought a house. I was already living a comfortable life through her. And then I started working. We had our first son in 2017. And this is where in December, my grandmother passed away. And I was very close to my grandmother. So as a kid growing up, my mom was postnatal. So she found it very difficult to look after me. She was a teenager herself. Back in the day in India, they would get their daughters married very early, especially in our case, my grandfather from my mom's side, my nana, was a police officer, a very recognized police officer, and he would get death threats, and people tried to take him out multiple times. So he had the fear of his life that it will impact my kids. So he got his son married to Glasgow, and then he got my mom married to the house that she's married in at 17. So when she had me, she was just 18. And so she found it very hard. And this is my grandmother stepped in and she looked after me. She raised me. And I was very, very close to my grandmother. So in 2017, when she passed away, it was my first experience. I'm born Hindu. I don't practice. I'm a bad Hindu, a beef-eating Hindu, that kind of person. And my family's like disgusted out of me. Like, you don't follow anything. I said, I just like to live, right? So I was in India for her funeral. And first experience I had of cremation in the house. I've never been to a cremation before. And there she was, the person I've loved all my life has been, burnt off. That really hit me hard. It was hitting a wall. And then I looked around and I saw how quickly world moves on from death. And people were busy talking about what's happening in the world and what's happening in their life. And almost other than her husband, my grandfather, and her sons, well, my father and his brothers, nobody was engaged. That really broke me. And I thought, life is very brutal. It's very hard and we need to think about ourselves. This is where I made a decision that I'm going to do something which is worth living. Again, entrepreneurship wasn't playing up in my mind. I just wanted to do something which is worth my time and my life. So I spent a few days with my grandfather. He was mourning his wife. I was mourning my grandmother. We never had the opportunity to sit down and do one-to-one. We drank. We spoke about life. He spoke about his life, his struggles, his traumas, and men of that generation don't talk about these things. And he was opening up to me. I think he was just very, very sad, and so was I. And this is the only way we could console each other. Men don't cry. Men just don't cry. Is the phenomena we are brought up with. So instead of crying, we just talked. And in that process, he opened up about the challenges of his life. His father left him behind with his mother, and he came to this place where my father was born, and then when I was born, my father and I went to the same school, taught by almost the same teachers at a different age gap. It was a very different life. And this is where I learned about my great-grandfather. We have always heard the stories growing up, but we never paid attention to it. But this was uninterrupted time where I was sitting down with my grandfather and was talking about who we are, where we come from, how did we end up in a place that we don't belong to. And then almost became my story as well. I come from India and I live in a place where I don't belong to, and suddenly this is the place I only belong to. Edinburgh is home, and Edinburgh is Scotland, is where I have lived most of my life, and this is where I want to end my life. And we talk about it with my wife all the time. But just to conclude on the story, grandfather talked about alcohol intensively. Alcohol was something which was hovering around in our discussion over and over and over again, and I felt almost alcohol was in my blood. So I came back to Scotland, and I literally had a light bulb moment. Okay, I live in the Mecca of spirits. My great grandfather built something out of alcohol. Alcohol keeps hovering around. I'm passionate about alcohol. I'm not an alcoholic, but I do enjoy a drink now and then. Borderline alcoholic. Aren't we all in Scotland? But then, I wanted to do whiskey. Whiskey was what I really wanted to put my hands in. Life humbled me. I thought I had a bit of savings to venture into whiskey, but it takes millions, hundreds of millions to do whiskey. So I thought, no, I need to do something which takes less investment, quick startup, and start my entrepreneurial journey. So answer to your question is, this is how alcohol happened, and gin came about because it was the only drink that can be made quickly, more agile, doesn't take years of maturation. You can almost play around with gin in any way or form. There are no such rules. There are certain rules, but of course no such rules that stops you from doing things. And I ended up in alcohol.
And so that's 2017. Rutland Square gets founded. Why Rutland Square? Why the name?
Again, interesting story. I did a few other startups which failed before Rutland Square happened.
All right.
As I said, I always had this entrepreneurial thing. I wanted to do something. I set up a film company which failed, and then I wanted to do a leather company. So my company registered on the Companies House in 2015 as a leather trading business. And then in 2017, when Rutland Square was incepted, I hired a Leith-based agency to help me create a brand identity. I realized I cannot do everything. I need some expert hands on board to build something which has meaning. I'm just going to take a rookie approach to things. So I hired this very interesting agency called Contagious. They're based out of Leith, sizable business. They helped me bring the brand to life. I dumped all my ideas onto the table, and they slowly helped me shape it. Rutland Square, the name happened after hundreds of names we went through. We wanted something that had the connection from India and Scotland. So it's truly a Scottish spirit, made in Scotland, incepted in Scotland, born in Scotland, but it had fragments of the past, like my story. Living in Scotland, kids are in Scotland, but I was born and bred in India. So there are fragments of my past life that stay with me. So it was inspired by India because the idea was born in India. And then it happened in Edinburgh. Only connection from India to Scotland is Rutland Square because the Indian embassy sits in Rutland Square. So in order for you to fly back home, you need a visa on your passport. And Rutland Square issues visas. So I said, why not? No other gin had the name Rutland Square. We did an IP, which we were successful in. I said, okay, Rutland Square pays homage to the home there where I live in, but it's also the bridge back home to India. We cannot go to India without going to Rutland Square. Right. So Rutland Square happened.
And the brand is beautiful.
Thank you.
It is stunning.
Yeah.
So
thanks to Contagious.
Yeah, shout out to Contagious, but also to you bringing them with the vision as well. Yeah. So
tell us about the early days of that then.
They were a struggle. They were a nightmare. Imagine you launch a product which is already in a crowded space. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. Sometimes it's trouble. In my case, it was both. I went into a market thinking I'll be the next Elon Musk of alcohol. And I'll launch a product nobody wants to buy. I have literally gone from bottle to bottle in every single shop around Edinburgh to sell. Everybody said no. The Leith bottle shop said no. Luckily there's this guy called Bindi Singh who runs a couple of shops on the North Bridge. He gave me the biggest order. I gave me the first order of 40 odd cases, which was the biggest order, 3-4 grand worth of order, and literally gave me 6 months of lifeline. So it started like that, selling one bottle at a time. And then there were times my wife was then pregnant with our second kid. So I would drag her because I never had any staff. So she was my staff and of course my support animal. So she would go there, collect the cash. We'll sell a bottle in every single gin event and gin fair and markets, wherever we could find a place to sell. Struggled brutally, ran out of cash multiple times, sucked out of my savings, sucked out of my wife's savings. Came a point I was like, I need to mortgage the house. And she's, no, I've transferred the house from your name to my name. Because one thing we are not touching is our house because our kids live in it. And I cannot accept us going into a rental property. The house is a safe haven. I said, okay, I accept and respect your views. I had no options. Excuse me. I had no options. So yeah, maxed out every single credit card I had, took out loans wherever I could. At some point, I also took loan sharks. I would come across loan sharks to give me lifeline. But we did what we have to do. Sometimes you're just so focused and driven, you don't see anything. You don't measure between life and death. You just go down this rabbit hole. You either obliviate or you just stay. In my case, I have so far survived.
Wow. And on that as well, I mean, what are the personal kind of consequences of that? Because that's quite stressful, right?
Very stressful. I do not advocate or advise anyone to do what I did. As part of my ADHD, I live in the extreme ends. I don't have a normal balance in life. If I start something, I just dive in without thinking what are the consequences. So gave me a heart attack. It killed me, almost killed me. Literally. I had the COVID injection that created a blockage in my heart because there was a blood clot through the injections, the vaccination. And I was at a gin fair in Aberdeen, I think, with my pregnant wife, lifting cases of gin because the lift wasn't working there. So it was 2 flights up in this market. So we had one. And even back then I had no understanding of how much stock I need. So I would take everything I had just in case if I sell out. Over ambitious, sometimes no understanding of basic things. That's the joy and fun of startups as well. You learn through your journey. Yeah. So I literally case 50 cases with me, thinking I'll sell 50 cases and I'll barely sell 10 cases. So imagine taking those 40 cases up and down.
Ever the optimist.
It was because you don't know. There isn't a rule book that teaches you these things, and it's just part of the journey that later become stories. But when you live those stories in real life, they are not as fun as they sound. Imagine lifting those cases and at that point I started putting out a lot of weight because I was comfort eating. I wasn't that big, and I was putting on weight. I think the struggle of a man sees through his body. Sometimes when you're not big naturally and then you suddenly put on weight, that's a sign of struggle. And there's no support around, and I was binge eating. I was just putting everything because that was giving me comfort. I can't talk to my wife who's pregnant about the struggles I have. She lived some of the struggles, but the fight was internal. Imagine you have £2.50 in your account and you have to make a 10 grand payment in a week's time. That kind of struggle. And if you don't, there is no company, and you're left with a stain on your reputation. And in my case, I had more to lose because my uncle was a successful businessman. My family lived here, and everybody are very proud of what they have done. And I would be the black sheep with the stain. So consistent pressure of just surviving. So I was at this gin fair. I started to feel a little discomfort on Friday, ignored it. I thought I just had too much biryani, so I was having a heartburn, And then comes Saturday, the pain's still there, and it's almost opposite to what the signs they say about heart attack. No smell of burnt toast, no pain in my arm. It's just a heartburn in my chest, as if I've overdone myself last night. Saturday passed. Come Sunday, we wrap up, pack up, and leaving back for Edinburgh. And I say, I usually don't trust my wife's driving. She's a lovely driver when she's driving herself, but when I'm sitting next to her with our kid, I say, let me drive. But she thinks she's a safe driver. So I said, okay, can you drive? And she felt very odd. She's like, you don't let me drive, and suddenly you're giving me the keys to drive. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable. So she stopped at a McDonald's to grab something to eat. I said no to food, which was another red flag for us. Like, he said no to a burger. What's happening there? And I started to sweat a little. So we came back, and I didn't want to. I said, I'm just going to sleep. I'm going to have something, some digestives or some heartburn capsules, which will help. And she said, NHS is free. It's not costing you money. Just go. And I'm like, I just can't be bothered going into the queues because it's crazy. It's just like war out there. Your head's bleeding and you're still sitting there for 4 hours to be seen. You just don't want to be in that setting. I almost have too much going on in my life. She forced me. She said, just go, just get it checked out. It doesn't feel right to me. I've got this feeling inside me. Yeah. Okay, I listen to her. I go there. As I said, it's war out there. People with broken arms sitting there. I'm sitting here for 4 hours. I was like, woo. So I have no expectations of being seen for the next 6-7 hours. Well, luckily I get there and you go to the reception. I said, I'm having chest pains for past 2 days. I'm sweating. I would like to get it checked out. So that was a trigger for them. Somebody comes running and they take me in. So first they did this analysis by speaking to me. Even the nurse thought it's a indigestion problem. So she gave me Gaviscon to drink. And they did a blood test and that did the ECG, which came out absolutely normal. Then I saw the nurse running towards me, literally running. And I thought she's going to barge in me. This is how fast she was. Like, did you drink that Gaviscon? I said, yes, I did. She said, you're having a heart attack. We need to book you in. I was like, ooh, that was just too fast. She said, we need to take you in because the blood test we did, there's an enzyme they measure now. Uh-huh. It's standard practice, which only became in practice for past 6 months or a year. Yeah. So they're all over the roof. So we need to book you in. So start stabbing me with injections in my stomach, blood thinners, this thing and that thing. And then I phoned my wife. So I'm having a heart attack. It's like, whoa, what? I'm 34, 35. Wow. And having a heart attack is never thought of. Yeah. That did turn my life upside down. I was booked into the hospital. They did what they had to do. Next morning, this doctor comes to see me and says, son, if you would have not come last night, you would have not seen Monday morning. So I was like, oof. Yeah. So this business killed me. Almost.
Wow.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I'm glad you're still here telling the story. And I guess through the story so far is one of resilience, I would suggest. In terms of the multiple interviews that you went through in the early stages, the multiple or hundreds of doors that you knocked on to, so resilience is coming through. How else does that play out in the story from here on in?
Resilience, yes. But you're almost hooked by the idea of one day it will work.
Right.
That conviction has to have, you need to have that conviction in anything that you do. Mm-hmm. Because businesses, nobody teaches you or talks about it or tells you about it. Yeah. But businesses go from plateau to off the roof in days. Sometimes that happens 6 years down the line. Sometimes happen year 2 in a business. It totally depends how it works. In my case, 3 years has literally been just surviving. And then one day, everybody who said no wants us because they must have seen this guy's been around for a while or doing something. And the story we are bringing to the table is afternoon tea and luxury, first gin in the world, which is led by one of the most expensive tea. We self-grow, sustainability, a lot of angles, which was just normal for us, as what we wanted to build. But then people started to resonate and gave us some momentum. That gave us more momentum. And then we started looking at export and it took us off the roof. And then I decided to bring a credible celebrity on board. Otherwise, spending money on advertising is not cheap.
Yeah. And sorry, just to
Sorry.
check, in terms of how people are then starting to kind of hear about you, are you doing a lot of marketing and advertising at this point, or what's?
We didn't have the money to do
Right.
it.
So how are people getting
word
to
of
know?
mouth
Word of
was
mouth,
getting
right,
around,
okay.
and the hockey stick moment happened for us after we brought this individual on board.
Okay.
Because that gave us a lot of traction.
Right.
Until then, I never knew PR existed. I never knew there is paid media, unpaid media. I was just focused on surviving. So yeah, word of mouth was initial. Whatever Facebook ads we did, very little, because we never had the budgets to do anything. That kept us. I think it's sometimes sticking around helps. Yeah. If you just stick around, people, it's like a shop. If a shop stays there for a little while, people talk about the shop, and then you become the shop which has been there for 100 years. But then there's always day one for everything. Yeah. Until it becomes that legacy or a cult shop. So it's time, patience, and ignorance, a little bit of ignorance, because you don't know what's tomorrow. So you need to almost be unrealistic about how you're going.
And so how did this kind of come about with this famous person? What's the story there?
That feeds into another resilience thing. I don't like to hear no. Part of, again, DNA. If you say that this cannot be done, I almost feel it's my responsibility to show people that it can be done. I became desperate. I became so desperate for money that I thought, if I go on Instagram and I see people with expensive cars, I should reach out to them. Because I had some investors who were family and friends. I had no idea about how to raise capital. I didn't knew corporate finance existed. Almost oblivion to all these things. So I went out on Instagram, LinkedIn, whichever platform I would see people posting with private jets and luxury cars. I thought these are the guys with money, which is not the case, but yes. And I would just send cold emails. There was a point in my life I was so desperate, I would send 500 emails a night. I would start after putting my son to bed at 9 p.m. and I won't stop till 6 a.m. So it's almost like copy paste, just changing the name to the person I'm reaching out to. Hi, thank you. I'm sorry for reaching out of the blue and blah, 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 blah. This business, and I want to make this into a $1 billion enterprise. And I was creating a hook. That was the vision. That was the aspiration. And I thought somebody will take a bite. Did that for a year. Non-stop, and a lot of celebrities came back and outright said no. Some wanted free equity, some wanted we pay them, which we never had. Almost came to a point it became a default for me I built few friends, some friends with Rolls Royces through this process, because they thought it was good, but alcohol was not their space. They never invested in. So I would almost go to these parties. I was started getting invitations to how arrogant are these celebrities? They don't respond to your DMs or messages or emails. There are tools you can find people's emails, and I would send them emails, cold emails. And then I was at this party in Dubai, top guy into defense stuff in India, invites me to a party of his luxury club he owns. He's refurbished, spent $1 million on refurbing the whole thing. It's a place where rich people go. I was literally out of place there. I walked in with my laptop, looking to close the deal. These people are vibing, dancing on the table. I said, who are these people? These are the things we don't do. We just go get drunk and then fight, or just sit there, talk about sadness and come back. And they were just having a good time. I was totally out of place. And I was finding only thing common I had, that I had a business, and these are business people and they like to hear about your business. I said, how arrogant are these actors? They don't respond to you. He said, who are you reaching out to? I said, so and so. And he picks up the phone, he phones him, and he said, Nish Sharma is trying to reach out. He said, who is Nish Sharma? I have like 6 people tell me to reach out to him. So he was getting my messages. The name was being talked around. This is how much of a ruckus I created by sending emails. Again, persistence and a little bit of delusion but then I reached out to this guy. I had a flight at 2 p.m. from Dubai to Edinburgh. I had to ship my family to the airport, and I said, listen, if I make this flight, I'll make it with you. If not, I'll come back tomorrow. But I need to go meet this person. I have one shot at it. So I drive up to his house, ever meeting a celebrity in his house, which was a moment for in itself. And I walk in, and he's a sizable guy, a $1 billion enterprise entrepreneur, 2 million followers on just one social media platform. B is a sizable name, a $1 billion enterprise. That was exciting enough for me to go meet him. How does a billionaire looks like? I don't know. Does he hover around in his house? Or does he walk? So the wild imagination of a person with ADHD. Literally, I was thinking about it, like, has he got some technology he would just, because he doesn't want to tire out walking, right? Because he's a billionaire. So I get to his house, he walks in, literally woke up, washed his face, put on his glasses so I don't see his puffy eyes, comes and sits there, and then does all the talking. And then I was there to pitch in. Instead, it's role reversed. Mm-hmm. He said, I've been looking at alcohol. I want to do it, but I haven't found the right thing I want to do. And I said, listen, I was honest. I had this story, like I'm speaking to you. I told him who I am, where I come from. I don't come from wealth. I'm literally a guy who took 500 from his family, built my life up till there. And I don't know how that happened. It just happened. So it's going to happen. I just said to him, I said, listen, I have this vision. I want to build this $1 billion enterprise. Until life leaves my body, I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep trying. So he saw conviction that he has a clear goal in mind and he wants to do something, and he has an industry he's working in. I said, listen, I'm not distracted. I don't want to do multiple things. I just want to do one thing. You are already a billionaire. Show me the roadmap to get there. It's not about money. Sometimes it's about that vision. Money is just a tool and it allows you to do things. And I said, listen, you are a billionaire. Show me the way. Then we kept on going back and forth, pushing back on how to do things. And at last, I was in his office. I said, this is the best I can do. I don't want to give up my company. I've built this from literally brick by brick, blood, sweat, and everything. And then we agreed on a valuation, agreed on the capital he could inject. And he became an equity partner, and that just blew things up for us.
And so who is he then?
Vivek Oberoi, Dr. Vivek Anand Oberoi. Vivek, if you Google Vivek Oberoi, he's 3 generations into films, film royalty.
So he's a Bollywood actor?
He's a Bollywood A-lister actor, but also a very smart entrepreneur. I've come across a lot of actors through this journey, through this desperate phase of mine. I literally met 15 actors pitching them. He was the only guy who was switched on, who understood boardroom, who understood equity, percentage, valuations, balance sheet. All of the other actors were just, no disrespect to them, but they were just like freeloaders. They had no idea what they are doing. It's like... this guy was really switched on. I thought he has the business acumen I lack. He has the structure that I lack. He has the connections that I lack. And he's already there where I want to be. So he can pave the road of this journey. He will never drag me. He will guide me. And that's what I need. I'm just a horse lost in the wind or the hurricane. He can show me the path to come out and have some structure in life.
Brilliant. And when did this all happen?
Last year.
Just last year?
Well, not even last year, this year. So we've been going back and forth since October last year, 2024. And March this year, I invited him to Edinburgh and we signed the deal.
Brilliant. Sorry, quick question. So did you make that flight with your family or was it the day after?
Did.
Oh, you did? Right, okay. Wow.
I rushed and they all checked in. They weren't checking my luggage in because they wanted me to be there. So they were at the check-in counter. And I said, listen, I'm a heart patient. I need to go back with my family just in case anything happens. I will be your liability. As lady says, oh yeah, put your stuff in. Sometimes it helps.
And so what's happened since then? Because obviously you've now got some investment there as well. What did that allow you to do?
So we became a £30 million enterprise. We went from 1 person to 25 people. We went viral in India. As I said, my Instagram went from 0 people coming and knowing about me to 2-3 million engagements. My LinkedIn went from 1,000 followers to almost 20,000 followers.
Wow.
Which is growing on a monthly basis. There's around 40,000 engagements that's happening on LinkedIn on my post. Now I have a compulsion to post, which I don't like, but I almost have to keep people up to date because they are engaged and they want to learn more and they want to know more what's happening. So I keeping it real and keeping it, it's about people want to be part of your journey. So they started associating, and it's almost people see a bit of themselves in your journey because all of us, the roadmap is same. No matter what culture, color, place you come from, we all have almost the same life. It's just we have our own story from being born to dying. Whatever happens in between is life. So people like to see a reflection of them on somebody either getting there where they want to be or they are struggling to be, or people resonating with their challenges and struggles where they see and understand, oh, I have been through. Similar to Dr. Oberoi as well, he must have gone through those challenges in his life that he saw an entrepreneur struggling in his phase, and where he thought, you know what, a little push from my end or a few phone calls from my contacts can help him in a long way. And it did. We were in almost every single newspaper and news channel for almost a month. So he came in March. Up till June, we were being published every single day in India and UK and Dubai, which really gave us the momentum. And people who said no to us, we got the biggest order from Pan GCC. This company I've been going back and forth for 2 years wasn't interested in us, and a phone call from him gets us into Qatar, Doha, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, East Africa. We went from almost selling from shop to shop to 18 airports in India. And we almost 3 times sold out from the Delhi International Airport, which is the capital city airport, with no brand advocacy, no marketing, nothing. People are just curious. They see his name associated to the brand. They want to pick up to taste, and then it repeats.
And this is all product made here in
Edinburgh. As I said, it's a local product. It's literally made in Summer Hall.
But the bulk of the sales going...
Exports,
right? Okay.
We just started doing some activity in the UK because it became so expensive to run the business in the UK, and there was more traction happening on the exports end, and it fell in automatically as well. This FTA was happening, which I had no idea about what FTA is, free trade agreement. And I was like, what does it mean? And I started looking in, and people wanted to know more about it. And India and UK are really working hard to build that bridge again, where they see biggest population in the world, good consumer market. UK produces some of the finest producers, especially in spirit, which is whiskey, gin, rums, fishery. UK has good quality product, and they stand behind there. And Scotland is so resourceful. We don't talk about it. Scotland is such a rich country in itself, which creates like Scotch. It's a brand. People aspire to drink Scotch in India because I'm from that land, and I see how much value Scotch holds. And it's an aspiration for people, those who don't have the money. They literally save up to buy a bottle of Johnny Walker or something they would know of. Johnny Walker almost sells more product they produce. They said, we don't know where they're filling the gap because we cannot produce the demand. It comes from the country. We're the hottest selling product in the country, but there's more demand for Scotch, and this gives us that brand that Scotland is. And coming out of a small brand from Scotland, we are already there because people want to associate with such brands. Even they are creating great whiskey, but still Scotch holds the narrative.
And so how does this one work? So we're gin at the moment?
Gin and rum.
And then moving to whiskey?
Yes.
When's that happening, and how's that happening?
So whiskey is happening. There are 2 live projects I have on the table. I can't talk much about one of the specific projects. Okay. I'm legally binded into that. I'm in the middle of an acquisition just now. If that goes through, I will have a running distillery in the portfolio. I am in the process of building a whiskey distillery. We are at a planning stage. because of this acquisition, things have slowed down on the actual project. But we have identified a land in Edinburgh, which already has certain plannings. And we are now speaking with Midlothian Council to get planning for a 3 million litre sustainable net zero whiskey distillery with a 200 bedroom hotel on site.
Wow. Amazing. And can you say where that's going to be?
It's a
Midlothian.
It's a secret.
All right.
It will be somewhere in Midlothian.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
I see Midlothian part of Edinburgh, but Midlothian as an independent place where my kids are.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful part of the city, the borders, and the government is very supportive there. The Midlothian Council is very supportive, and that's where I see myself staying and my kids staying. So yeah, Midlothian.
Brilliant.
It feels like we're just at the beginning of all of this, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. We ask all our guests, what is your guiding principle in business?
This is something my wife has laid down the founding stone. So there are a few people I'm inspired of in my life. My grandmother, my parents, my wife, a huge inspiration in whatever I'm doing, because without her support, I would have not been here where I am. All of them echo one thing: integrity. You need to be honest. You need to be truthful to what you're doing. You need to put in 500% of what you want to do or what you're doing, and never make anyone feel that they have been worse off through the association with you. Always make them feel that they have been better off by meeting you. So this is a process, and the founding stones for me to work on. These are the principles I want to work on.
Well, I think, we definitely feel better off for having had this conversation. Genuinely, I think you've said it there, Alex. About it feels like we're only kind of getting to the start of things as well. But maybe we'll extend an offer to come back and tell the next sort of phase of the story.
Absolutely, I would love
at
to.
a later stage. Would you agree?
And the crazy, I think we should have your wife here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? Yeah,
I think that would be I'd love to watch, even just about the driving. It'd be interesting.
I know. Hey, one question I did mean to ask as well. Your grandfather,
Yes.
is he still around?
No, he passed away during COVID.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. My grandfather went downhill after his wife passed away. He was the happiest, the jolliest, the most coolest grandfather anybody could ask for. Growing up, he would give us a sip of his whiskey. Even when we were kids, it's like, it's cold, have a sip, right? So it was very cool. When grandmother passed away in 2017, I think he just lost a part of himself, and he went into depression, and then he just lost it there. And then COVID happened. He never recovered.
What would he have said about your story so far, would you say?
His siblings are around. They tell me they are very proud of me.
Wow.
I'm sure he would be a little proud of me for letting his story and his father's story out there. For me, it's not about the product. It's about remembering someone who is not in existence. My great grandfather, who I've never met, I talk about him on a daily basis. Continues that journey, and makes them proud, and makes me proud that it's not about me. It's about one man who had an itchy foot who started this. It's almost like Johnny Walker, right? One man started it, and almost Johnny Walker is part of all of our lives. I'm not as big as Johnny Walker, hopefully one day. But then it's about that one man's, who I never, but I share a DNA. There must be some fragments of him in me that has allowed me to be here where I am.
Nish, thank you so much for coming on, telling your story. We'll have you back, and we wish you all the luck in the future.
Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for having me.